On today's episode of the Hat and Beard Show, we're looking at the Week 10 matchup for the Detroit Lions, heading out to the West Coast for a big 4 o'clock game against the San Diego Superchargers of Los Angeles. Jared Goff's having a homecoming of sorts. We're going to discuss the Chargers offense, defense, what the Lions need to do to counteract both of those, and how we can take advantage of a first-time appearance, a first-time happening for this season in the Detroit Lions. Just got a whole bunch of good news. Look, there is a lot of potential in this game, a lot of things we need to talk about, so let's get into it.
Okay, let's go.
All right, everybody, welcome back to the Hat and Beard Show. As you guys know, I'm your hostess with the mostest, Hat and Beard, where my pronouns are savage and I identify as sexy. With me, as always, is my co-host and stiff to the left, B-Rad, Pick'ems extraordinaire, and help me hold down the fort as always. Guys, what an exciting week we got ahead for us in Week 10 matchup against the San Diego Chargers. A couple things we need to talk about in this game, some matchups that we need to focus on, some things that we need to take care of, and if we can just address a couple of simple things, we got a big W on the road coming ahead that sets us up for an awesome slide into December, potentially looking ahead to the playoffs. We don't want to talk about it too much yet. I know I talked about it a lot in the last video, but potentially we're looking at staging ourselves for a good playoff run that sets the road to the Super Bowl through the NFC through Detroit. But let's not put the cart before the horse. Let's go ahead and talk about the San Diego Chargers. I know they're LA. I can't help but call them San Diego. Guys, I'm not going to lie. I'm a little biased towards the Chargers. I like them old dark blue uniforms. But look, man, I grew up loving me some Junior Seau. One of my favorite players of all time is LaDainian Tomlinson, and I don't care if you don't like that call. I don't care if you don't think it's a very good call. I like that call. It's a very good call.
I don't like that call. Not a very good call.
I thought LT was just awesome. Dude, I loved watching him play growing up. And let's not forget about the fact that in a weird way, the Lions are connected to the Chargers in that back in the day when Drew Brees blew out his shoulder and was becoming a free agent, leaving San Diego, there was one team that he wanted to play for, and that team was the Detroit Lions. But we thought we were good to go with old Joey Harrington and Mike McMahon under center. So we let Drew Brees essentially go to the New Orleans Saints, and you guys know the history there. He ended up having a Hall of Fame career, winning Walter Payton Man of the Year awards as well as a Super Bowl. So, you know, that is a weird connection that we have with the Chargers. I have a bias towards them. I liked them growing up. I can't stand their current color palette. I wish I'd go back to the old dark blues, and I still call them San Diego to this day. As far as their current roster goes, I'm a Keenan Allen fan. I'm a Justin Herbert stan. Austin Eckler is fantasy, just awesome excellence. Their defense has a lot of ballers, and Khalil Mack is going to have a Hall of Fame career before it's all said and done. Joey Bosa is a all-pro defensive end, and they have a stud in the secondary at safety in Derwin James. So, what do we need to look at here? Well, we need to address the Chargers and mitigating their pass rush, because as it sits right now, I think Khalil Mack has like 9 sacks on the season. Granted, I think like 5 or 6 of them came in one game. And Joey Bosa, again, perennial all-pro defensive end with his pass rush. Can we mitigate it? Yes, we can, because we got a little bit of good news coming out of Allen Park in that Frank Ragnow and Jonah Jackson should be, as it stands right now, should be good to go. That gives us a fully healthy offensive line to sit back and counteract and push back against their 2 stud defensive ends. I'm not too worried about the rest of their players. They've got athletes on the field. However, if we can limit their pass rush, keep Jared Goff upright, then look to see Jared Goff just sit back in the pocket, pick apart their defense, make smart, calculated passes, and lean on the run game. As far as the Chargers' offense is concerned, they are a very hot and cold team. The Chargers have a lot of talent on the offensive side of the ball. Keenan Allen, all-pro. Justin Herbert, top 10 quarterback in the league. Austin Excellence. Austin Eckler, awesome excellence. Dude is built like a brick shit house, dude. I mean, he is exactly what you want out of a running back. He's got thick legs. He's got a low center of gravity. He catches the ball out of the backfield. He is essentially a nice blend between what we have with David Montgomery and Jahmyr Gibbs, where you can really just kind of see a nice blend between the two of them. The Chargers offensive line, though, complete garbage. All right, hot rubbish. They do again have weapons on the outside with the rookie Quentin Johnson, who I wouldn't have mind seeing coming to Detroit in a weird turn of events. And then again, Keenan Allen. But their coaching staff is kind of lacking. I'm going to be honest, I think Brendan Staley is a turd sandwich. He's Adam Gase 2.0. I don't know how he still has his job. But, you know, they can come out, and Kellen Moore can sometimes come out and just, like, call a great game. And we've also seen Detroit come out and have just embarrass themselves with just not being able to stop anything. But do I think that this season that the Chargers are built to be that type of team? No, I don't think so, because to be that type of team, I think early on the Seattle game was a one-possession fluke. The only game we got blown out in was the Ravens game. And do I think that the Chargers and Ravens are on the same tier of each other? Not even close. I think the Chargers are the Chargers, man. They're a 4-4 team. They're very middle, dude. They're mid as can be, even on a good day. But every dog has his day, and they can get us because, again, we're coming off the bye week. However, we're coming off a bye week. The Chargers played on a Monday night game, so they're having a condensed week. We're having an extended rest-up period, and we're getting healthy in all the right spots. So as far as mitigating the Chargers offense, what we need to do is obviously we need to get Hutch going, and our pass rush needs to get home. How do we do that? Well, we need to continue to send the blitz through linebackers with Derek Barnes, who is surprisingly turning it around, having a relatively decent pass rushing burst, I guess you could say. We've integrated Jack Campbell to learn to be more of a pass rush develop more of a pass rush repertoire, as well as Anzalone has been able to get home a couple of times. What I need, though, is I need to have us generate pressure with our front four, because with the existence of Awesome Excellence, you're going to need to counteract his short yardage plays with either a Brian Branch or a zone coverage with maybe a linebacker. Anzalone, not necessarily the best. I don't want to see Derek Barnes out in coverage. Jack Campbell, we know from college, can cover, but we haven't really been utilizing him that much as a cover linebacker. So I'm looking for Brian Branch to essentially stick to Awesome Excellence like glue, mitigate him from the offensive game plan. And then if we can get our pass rush to get home with Hutch, obviously, who wins a lot but hasn't been able to get home as far as sacks generated on a consistent basis. If we can get home, as I've been saying for going on years now, get home, you can make up for a lack of elite secondary play. I'm not saying our secondary is bad. Our secondary is actually a lot better than where it was last year, even with Chauncey Gardner-Johnson and Emmanuel Mosley both being injured. Jerry Jacobs has had just a tremendous season. I mean, the guy, up until he's missed one game for being hurt, he was leading the league in interceptions. Cameron Sutton has been a solid lockdown corner all year. Cameron Sutton, bigger body, can match up well against an aging, I'm not saying he's bad, but aging Keenan Allen. He doesn't necessarily have the burst that he once had, as well as you have the advantage of a rookie who is being kind of thrust more into a more starter role with Mike Williams being hurt and Quentin Johnson. Quentin Johnson, you go ahead and lock him up with Jerry Jacobs with maybe a little safety help over the top with either Tracy Walker or Kirby Joseph. Kirby Joseph, we know, is just a tremendous cover safety. By doing that, you can mitigate the Chargers' potential to have a high-octane offense, as well as we need to now figure out who's going to be the guy that steps up, because as was proven with the emergence of James Houston in the second half of the season last year, Aiden Hutchinson can be elite when he has a Robin to his Batman. Who's going to be this week's Robin? I'm going to go ahead and say a lot of people are looking at maybe a Broderick Martin, obviously Aleem McNeil. I'm going to take Aleem McNeil out of the running because we expect Aleem McNeil to be a rock star in the middle. Okay, we see what he can do. We see he lost the weight in the offseason, and we've seen him be able to now put it all together and be more of a pass rush, I don't want to say specialist, but a better pass rushing defensive tackle. Okay, he's been able to generate pressure up the middle, as well as continuing to mitigate rushes up the middle without losing a step with losing all of the weight that he lost. So Aleem McNeil is going to be removed from that. I'm not looking for a young guy to step up with a Julian Okwara or a Broderick Martin or a Josh Paschal. I'm actually looking to see us to finally have the veteran leadership, veteran presence that we have in all of the defensive rooms, i.e. I'm looking for Charles Harris, who is a captain, or I'd really like to see Romeo Okwara be able to step up and help generate some pass rush, really get in there and collapse the pocket around Justin Herbert, because if we can keep Justin Herbert from extending plays, Justin Herbert, I'm not saying he's a poor man's anything, but he is similar-esque to Josh Allen in that he can extend plays. He's athletic enough. He's not as fast as Allen, not as big as Allen, and I think he's still dealing with a little bit of a hand injury. I missed the Monday night game, so I'm not necessarily sure. Okay, so if you mitigate the passing game by collapsing the pocket in around Justin Herbert, make poor decisions and force passes or take sacks, obviously we know how this story goes. If our defense can do that, and our offense needs to be able to do our offensive things, right? So we are looking at the Detroit Lions offense coming into this game for the first time all season, what should be our projected starting lineup on offense. All 11 players are healthy and on the field at the same time. That means all the weapons are there for Jared Goff. That means that Ben Johnson has every toy to be able to utilize at his disposal. I think Ben Johnson can go ahead and make himself a head coaching statement job right here. I know a lot of people think Ben Johnson might actually be coaching and having an interview with the San Diego Chargers kind of at the same time. I think the Chargers are setting up Kellen Moore to be their next heir apparent to Brandon Staley. So Ben Johnson needs to come out and call himself a good game. We need to have a nice split. I'm not saying an even 50-50 split, but I really want to see the potential of our backfield with both a healthy David Montgomery to be used as that hammer power back to break down the offense or the defense in the first quarter of the game, and then now a Jahmyr Gibbs who now has it. And I'm not saying he didn't have it, but now he's got the confidence of both the players, the coaches, and the fan base behind him to know that he can carry the load. And now we don't need to lean on him as much, so we can utilize him more for speciality, design screens, wheel routes, outside runs. You don't have to necessarily send him into the teeth of the defense, because now that we got David Montgomery back, we can really pound on the defense. What I'd really like to see is heavy usage David Montgomery in the first quarter, definitely. First half, though. Open up the third quarter for Jahmyr Gibbs when you already have a defense that is tired from being physically pounded down by David Montgomery and our big offensive line. Now they have to try and chase Jahmyr Gibbs around for the third quarter. Ideally, then you're setting up a fourth quarter where you're doing more of a rotation between Jahmyr Gibbs, Craig Reynolds, maybe a sprinkling of David Montgomery. But again, I don't want to see David Montgomery come back too soon and maybe risk injuring himself again. However, we do know that the Lions coaching staff has been really good about protecting players from potential long-term injuries by making sure that they're good to go, fully integrated to the offense, and healthy simultaneously. So I'd really like to see a nice 20 and 20 touch between the two running backs. So now you're looking at ideally 40 plays there, limiting the offense. You're also looking at massive amounts of ball control. When you're having massive amounts of ball control, I've been talking about it since the last video. I talk about it all the time. When you have a tremendous amount of ball control, you're then forcing the opposing team's offense to get off their game plan, start making bigger throws, deep shots, taking more gambles. Your defense can pin your ears back. So I'd really like to see a nice 20-20 touch between Gibbs and Montgomery. I'd also, though, like to see if the game goes a certain way and that we get into a little bit more of a track meet with the San Diego Chargers, LA Chargers, whatever you want to call them. I wouldn't mind seeing Goff just, come back to LA. He's a California kid and he played for the Rams. I'd really like to see Goff come back and just, casually throw for like 330 yards and 3 TDs. I'd really like to see Jameson Williams get his, man. None of this 1-2 catches, none of this drop balls. J-Mo, prove me wrong, dude. Come on, man. I don't want to see you not work, man. I'm like low key your biggest fan, bruv. Like for real. Like, can't you just do it for me, man? Like, go ahead and go and grab like a 6 catch game for like $130, like well over 20 yards and like 2 TDs. Like, bro, have your little coming out party. Have your coming out party while Jared Goff's having his homecoming party, right? Like, wouldn't that just be like the cat's pajamas, dude? That would just that would for real that would be so dope. That would be so awesome. So we got a fully healthy projected offensive line, fully healthy backfield, all of our weapons in the wide receiver room. We might even see Donovan Peoples-Jones, but again, Lions brass and coaching staff doesn't necessarily like to throw guys into the fire where they can jeopardize not only their health and safety, but also their head health and safety, right? They want these guys to have confidence when they touch the field. So we got a full gambit, look for Laporta to get his 6 targets, 4 or 5 catches. Look for Saint to get his 9 targets. Ideally, in an ideal world, you're seeing Saint get like 12 targets, but I'm not mad if he's only, 6, 7 targets, because then that means that we're getting a good heavy dose of the run game. I'm looking to see the Lions come out and make a statement to the NFL that, hey, we're coming off the bye. We're Kings of the North. We just got Josh McDaniels and the GM of the Raiders fired. And we're fully healthy. Look what we can do. Look what we can do. Look at what we can do when we're fully healthy. Dude, I'm thinking that this can be that, statement game, right? That, we keep trending upward. We trended upward in a lot of power rankings, and we were on the bye week. That's awesome. That means that teams are starting to kind of fall off, right? So, look, come out, make a hell of a statement win here, fellers. Come out on the road, beat the brakes off the Chargers, dude. Just go out, take care of business, do what you got to do. I'd really like to see just an ass whooping. I'd love to just see just an ass whooping, because look, the Chargers got their little win on Monday night, right? They beat the fucking brakes off the Jets. Whoop-de-doo, good for you. You beat up on the special ed kid. Aren't you proud of yourself, San Diego? We don't have to worry about them trying to stop a losing streak, right? So they're going to have a little bit more, they're going to come out, they're going to have a little bit more confidence, maybe a little bit more swagger, right? But Brennan Staley knows that seat under his ass is getting hot, okay? The Chargers are playing not so great. They're not a great team. They're pretty mid. But I think we can just come out and pound them, dude. I'd like to see us beat them 37-6 or some crazy shit like that. But, look, I see us going over 30 points. I'm going to say the Lions are going to go ahead and win this game 34-24, something like that. We kind of are going to let them hang with us for a little bit. I'm not saying that the Chargers are a bad team, but, we have seen the Lions kind of play down to their opponents with Atlanta or I guess we kind of dominated Atlanta. We'll go ahead and, we kind of played down to the Raiders for 3/4 of that game, right? We kind of let them hang around. We were playing with our food. I really wasn't too hype about that. Come out, take care of business. Continue the sweep of the AFC West, right? This would be 3 AFC West teams this year that we took down. So I love it. I really want to see it. The only downside to this game is that because it's a West Coast game, we do have the narrative of traveling out to the West Coast, but the Chargers are traveling from the West Coast to the East Coast, from the East Coast back out to the West Coast on a condensed week. We're coming off the bye. We should be rested, healthy, ready to rip, roar, rock, and roll. Yep, but because it's a West Coast game, we got it's a 4 o'clock, 4:05. So that means waiting through some potentially pretty shitty 1 o'clock games. Is this what it has felt like for the good teams in the NFL? You've had to suffer watching the Lions play the 1 o'clock game for so long. Is this what it's like? Because damn, dude. Anyway, that's going to do it for me, you guys. I've been Hat and Beard. You've been an attentive audience. Don't do anything I wouldn't do. Stay out of trouble. Keep your stick on the ice. And hey, man, if she doesn't find you handsome, at least she'll find you handy. Have a good rest of your week, dude. We'll catch you guys later. See ya. Electric